Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Depth. I'm Santiago Ramones. Across from me is
Campbell Young.
How you been? How are you doing? It's great.
Yeah, doing good, man. Yeah, so I got some questions for you. So I listened to Cruisin while I was cruising. What made you do that name?
So it's kind of more about how the track came about. So I've been telling this story a lot, and that's okay. But all these tracks were originally numbered ambient 1 through 12. And then whenever I decided to compile it into an album, I was like, well, that wouldn't be very interesting. And so I had to assign names to each one. And this one, with how I wrote it, I first kind of played with this synth sound, which sounds like this. And upon hearing that, I was like, this kind of feels like
the PS1 intro.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That's like, as soon as I heard that first chord, I was like, oh yeah, that's PS1.
But I was like, this sounds like menu music that would be playing for like a racing game or something. If you've ever played any of the Forza games or Gran Turismo or something, I immediately was like, oh, this is what that is. And so upon hearing that sound, I was like, well, let's just make menu music for a racing game.
Nice.
And so that was the train of thought. And so it's like, it just kind of feels like driving, on the road, cruising and enjoying your time, your freedom.
So more technical follow-up question. What are you using for that synth?
That came from a synth pack or sample pack or something.
Okay.
Because at the time, this was probably in 2014.
Okay.
I was using the free version of the version that comes whenever you buy anything.
The light version. I love it.
Yeah.
I made 4 records on that version.
Yeah. Well, this entire record is on that version.
Okay.
And so I was just kind of going off of just free shit. Let's do free shit. And so anytime anything Ableton was like, hey, you can download these things, they're also free. And so immediately I was like, cool, give me that. Yeah. And so, and every time that you get a new thing, it's like, what's this? What's this? What's this? What's this? And you're scrolling through presets. And that's one of the first things that came up. And I was like, ooh, let's do something with it. And so it is, I think it came from the KJ Sakwa,
some random pack thing that they had.
Yeah. And so it's not a synth necessarily. It's a sample, but
and you just kind of manipulate it throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. The weird thing about that one is that since it is a chord, you can only really pick so many notes to play with these synths because of scales. And so that's why the whole thing only does 3 chords, 1, 4, 5, because it's a major chord, and those are the chords that you hear.
Yeah, and it kind of plays to the ambient nature of it, just kind of repeating those 3.
Yeah, and kind of from the beginning, I was like, this is background music, and so it doesn't need to be incredibly complex or incredibly heady.
Yeah. So I have another question. Why did you decide to do the drums in halftime and not because as soon as I heard that sound, I got that racing game,
sweet
PS2 era vibe. But why did you go with halftime rather than doing the standard, drum and bass sort of thing?
I don't know. I didn't want it to sound so frantic. I think the thing about menu music, and this is the nuance that comes in writing for film and writing for video games and writing for whatever, is that there's a line that you're walking between having the player or the listener pay attention to it and having the music just give focus. And so you want the music to be a push, but you don't want the music to be the reason in a weird way. And so I wanted the groove of the drums to be more laid back. And so even though there's a lot of notes happening, especially whenever the other instruments start coming in that are kind of faster, the drums are still kind of setting the pace. And so it's like you're not necessarily flooring it, you're just
cruising.
Yeah. And then the other thing about the drums is that it's a little bit kind of dubstep inspired, I think. I think at the time.
Yeah, you said 2014.
Yeah, 2012 to like 2015 was like very dubstep heavy. And even though this doesn't sound like dubstep,
the drums,
the kick having that like double like da-da-ga.
Yeah, exactly.
This groove is more like,
it's almost more of like a metal groove.
A little bit too, like the double kick thing.
And I mean, that kind of goes in with the whole dubstep thing. Like they're kind of hand in hand a little bit.
Yeah. And so normally I'm lazy and I just like click into the sequence in clips. But this one I actually just played because I liked how it felt. And so I just, on the drum pad or whatever, I played it with my hands. But normally I'll just like, I know what I want the rhythm to feel like, and I'll just click it into place.
Just grit it out, yeah.
Yeah, but this one I'm like, no, let's feel it out. And so I feel like this drum groove feels more loose and free because I'm not doing like rigid loops. The drum loop kind of went for a little while. The phrase is, I think, 10 bars or something like that. It's not a normal like 8-bar or 16-bar phrase. I had the drums, instead of doing like one loop for an entire like chord phrase, it's a long phrase is more so the point. And so as you get to the end of the phrase, like the drums are doing something even more at the end of it. So like that thing is a little different because I was just like, well, I did that rhythm already. Yeah, I did that rhythm already. Let's do something else with that. Let's do something else with that. And so like I got as irregular as I could in my brain at that point. And so I like it because it's a longer loop rather than you get used to it so quick. It feels a little bit more dynamic and it feels like a real human is playing it because it is.
Did you like quantize that and stuff or just play it in and say it's good?
I think it is quantized.
Yeah.
I think.
But just probably like slightly.
Yeah. The other part about this album is that like I didn't know what I was doing. Is like the whole point of the album being called Bloom is that I was sort of coming into being as a musician.
Yeah.
And so whatever perceptions people might have is like, oh, you should definitely quantize drums, or no, don't quantize drums. You want to have that real feel. I was just like, but the lines aren't lining up.
Right.
It's just like quantize, hard quantize. And I kind of do that a lot still. And I don't know if maybe that's just become a staple of my sound now that everything is like hard to the grid. Like, I mean, even back in the day, whenever people were using sequencers and drum machines, that was all hard to the grid anyways too. And so that has a sound.
Exactly. This will probably wind up being my last question, but it's the most heady, so we can talk about it a little bit. And I've edited it since I started talking to you about this, but do you think making film/video game music, do you think of it as an art or as a science? Because you mentioned how it has to play to the medium rather than being...
Yeah, it is a bit of both. And it's kind of like there's the things that you kind of right at face value you should or should not do. And so, yeah, the very direct, just like, this is a racing game. And it's like, all right, so let's have Mongolian throat singing. It's like, but wait, the game is set in the United States. It's like, yeah, Mongolian throat singing. Like, that's already a bad decision. And I'm sure you could like art your way into making that decision anyways, but like, it's not quite right. So it's I always kind of describe the process of songwriting, and kind of even more so whenever you have a prompt and a goal for something like film scoring or scoring for video games is like you're chiseling away at the marble that isn't the statue. And so you kind of find what is more right for what you're going for. And that is the difference, is that sometimes free creation is just, you're just throwing stuff. There's not there's not a statue within, you're just making it from nothing. Whereas whenever you have a goal and you're trying to go for something, it is more like trying to, you're finding the stuff that isn't right. I think even thinking back to like how I wrote this, normally I would have like a super complex bass line, and I really enjoy complex bass lines. There's other tracks on the album, specifically Trials, that has a cool bass line, but this one is literally just like the root note, and it's playing the same rhythms with everything. There's actually 2 bass sounds in the track. So that's one sound, and then this is the other one. So it's a little bit more thuddy and low, but
it's got a lot of that Moog like filter, resonant filter thing going on.
Yeah. But instead of trying to give you more to focus on, again, still going for something as this is background music. If I add too much, it becomes
what it's not,
a distraction. Yes, exactly. And so like when Squidward put the weird nose on SpongeBob's statue, pure art comparisons, like with SpongeBob.
Yeah.
So I do think that is kind of more the sciencey part of it, of like what you should and shouldn't do. But it is blurry in that, kind of like I mentioned earlier, you could art your way into wrong decisions and make them the right decision. That's actually something that I feel like was a lot of what I got out of my master's degree, which was everything is bullshit. And so like I could have just gone into all of my lessons and been like, this is what I did today. I farted into a microphone and it is art. And now like, but the other part is like, all right, how well are you justifying the art? Is it just you're farting into a microphone, that's a thing? Or is it like, are you making a critique about the nature of art, and the farting into the microphone is the absurdist commentary on it?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, when you make that kind of argument, you are actually kind of justifying the art. And so with writing for film and writing for video games, you do have that leeway of, all right, client, stay with me, but this is the decision that I made. I like this decision, and this is why.
Yeah.
But it's also weird, and here we are. So I think that was kind of more of the line that I was going for. I wasn't going towards something super strange or artsy with this track. It's just like a cool groove track.
Yeah.
And it is a bit repetitive, but the line of attention versus distraction is like, if you are just paying attention to the track, there's at least something happening at the end of each phrase that keeps you going. So like for a while, that synth is kind of the main thing that's playing, but then over time you get this little like marimba thing that comes in, and then later you get this guy that's like giving you a little bit more like a different polyrhythm, even because the whole thing is in like this 4/4. The triplet subdivision is kind of pulling a little bit more, and so even though it's simple and there's just like an arpeggiated thing, there's a little bit more in there to pull but not quite distract. And then once it loops so many times, then kind of in the like 3/4 of the way through, then the bass and the synth drop out and you have just those two were kind of like the
rhythmic elements,
the distractors. Yeah. And then they're by themselves. And so like, hey, pay attention to this now. And so it's like each time it's something else to pay attention to and something else to keep you in, but not pull you out.
Interesting. Yeah. Makes sense.
What did you get out of the track?
Kind of like what you said. It's almost like, I mean, it takes elements of a lot of different types of music, like ambient and dubstep, as we said. But yeah, it's definitely like Cruisin is probably the perfect name because you can just listen to it, you know, as I did, windows down, and you just listen to the whole thing without even realizing that you've listened to, what is it, almost 6 minutes?
Yeah, it's almost 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Which kind of in retrospect, I'm like, this is kind of long for something that's so backgroundy.
Yeah. But also at the same time makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Because if you're like in this hypothetical game that you're playing and you're just like painting your car and changing the rims or whatever it is, like you're just like, yeah, I'm enjoying what I'm doing and just like keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if the track ends too soon, then it's like, oh no, what happened to the thing? I'm distracted from the menu and now I have to pay attention to the music. So, yeah. Campbell, thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah, man. It was a good time.
Plug your stuff. You have stuff to plug?
Don'tTellDina.com for all that stuff, thelunarlaugh.com. But I mean, we're mostly just in a state of limbo right now working on new stuff. So there'll be new stuff probably like either late this year or early next year.
Yeah.
It'll probably be the first remnants of new things.
Sweet. Is there any just like Campbell Young stuff going on?
I mean, I'm always working on stuff, but nothing that's going to be released in the distant future. So
thank you so much. And now here's Cruisin' in its entirety. You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I make music. Bloom will be available on August 8th, streaming everywhere. Put it on in the background. Put it on your workout playlist. Show it to your friends so you can all enjoy it together. You can also buy the thing and get bonus content to get a bit deep into the emotions you can feel with it. I also make music with Power Cycle, an experimental electronic trio. Our first completely improvised album, Too Many Damn Cables, is streaming everywhere. More to come from Power Cycle in the future. To support this podcast, leave reviews, comments, tell your friends about it, and buy my music, because by supporting me, you're supporting the podcast. I always end the podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.